Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, Elizabeth Dutton.
Hey.
So good to see you, my friend. How you been?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah.
Really good? Really neat?
Yep.
Well, I got a question for you, bright ass.
Well, I got to ask you, how have you been?
I'm still here.
There
right?
you go. There it is.
I'm not pushing up daisies.
Above ground and getting paid.
I'm on the right side of the grass,
There
Elizabeth.
There it is.
So, question for you.
Yeah.
Do you know what's ridiculous?
I do. You like grilled cheese sandwiches.
I love grilled cheese sandwiches.
And you hate mayonnaise.
I'm not a fan, but it
Not a
does
fan.
make a good spread on the outside.
Right. I feel like I'm the one who convinced you of that.
I think you're the one who pushed me over the top. I tried it once before, but I never incorporated it into my game. After you introduced me to it, now I use it.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
I won't. I've been using like a hybrid when I make grilled cheese for my nephew.
Uh-huh.
So you use like a little bit of butter, a little bit of mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And then you grill the cheese.
Can you use it for eggs too? Because I use butter for eggs.
Yeah. Of course you use butter for eggs.
Yeah, but can you use mayonnaise for eggs?
It's made of eggs.
I know, and oil.
Sort of cannibalistic. What?
Kind of.
Anyway, so Tillamook cheese.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the...
Yeah, they're like, we know you love grilled cheese. Guess what?
What?
We also know you're lazy. So we're going to combine butter and mayonnaise for you.
Are you real?
We got this coming at us from every, platform, people sending.
How does everybody find these things I never see online?
I don't know, but it's like if something drops, we know about it because
Good job,
it's
rude dudes.
emails, Instagram, Blue Sky, everything, voicemails.
The only thing the algorithm does right for me is it shields me from all of this stuff until you drop it in my lap.
Also, I always find out first.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone, we're getting it every which way but loose, right? And so I looked it up, and I'm like, this isn't. A lot of people are like, ew, gross. No, it's not gross.
It's just...
It was limited edition.
Uh-huh.
$15 got you a pack of sliced cheese,
Uh-huh.
a jar of this stuff, butternase, we're calling it.
Butternase.
And they teamed up with Kewpie mayonnaise.
Oh, is that a good mayonnaise?
Yeah.
I don't know mayonnaise.
Yeah, it's good mayonnaise. And so they did this, and it came with a little spreader.
Oh,
So cute.
That's fun.
$15,
Uh-huh.
sold out online in 2 minutes.
You're getting much better at these mashups. This is now, I think, the second
Well,
or maybe
I'd be-
third mashup that I have not hated.
I'd be better if I found out about these things before they happened, and then I could try and, get my grubby paws on something like that. But 2 minutes?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then this writer for Food and Wine used it and said it was pretty good.
So they got it. They got it in that 2-minute window.
No, I think because they were a writer for Food and Wine.
Oh, they sent them the right.
Yeah.
Of course.
Which, hello, brands,
Yeah.
we're right here.
Totally.
I'll make a grilled cheese.
Spread the word.
Right? Mash it up. Anyway, that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, Elizabeth.
It is.
Well, I got one for you.
Oh, nice.
Oh, no, I think this is a fun one. I think you actually might really enjoy this.
Uh-huh.
I could be wrong, though.
Yeah.
I've been wrong before.
Yeah.
I'll probably be wrong
Well,
again.
it happens to the best of us.
Elizabeth,
Yeah.
imagine it's the 1920s.
Okay, I'm doing that right now.
You're a young married woman.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you go out one day in your Model T and you decide to rob one little old bank in Texas. And all of a sudden, everyone from coast to coast is calling you the Flapper Bandit.
Nice.
This is Ridiculous Crime, a podcast about absurd and outrageous capers, heists, and cons. It's always 99% murder-free and 100% ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yes, Elizabeth.
Yes, Zaron.
Now, as I promised, I've got a fun little crime story for you today. It's about a woman known as the Flapper Bandit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say flapper, what do you think of?
The 1920s, short haircuts, no petticoats.
Can you be even more specific? Like, well, here, I'll give you an example. I think of singing...
Susan. Her name was Susan.
Green eyes. It came from Hayward. No, I think of Singing in the Rain and Debbie Reynolds when she's driving her 1920s car, and then Gene Kelly is like running from his adoring fans, and he drops down from a streetcar, I think, into her car, and there she is all dressed like the ultimate 20s flapper girl, short hair, got on her little hat, her little shapeless dress.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, do you have any, like, images like that of, like, oh, yeah, this is the flapper, I think, of, like, a specific
In
flapper?
my head, I just keep thinking of those drawings from the era.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, because everyone can see them as I speak.
Those drawings.
Those drawings. See, look.
So, as you well know, the 1920s were a major turning point in the history of American women.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically like when women became modern.
Became people.
Yeah, that's honestly like in 1920, American women won for themselves the right to vote.
Correct.
At least white women. Now, women also started to become a common sight on college campuses.
Mm-hmm.
They became more and more involved in the workforce. Young women ditched the Victorian and Edwardian fashions of the day. They started wearing their hair short. They preferred, as I said, those shapeless dresses. They weren't accentuating their curves as much. They ditched the exaggerated busts from girdles and the augmented rumps from bustles.
Well, and the corset, you know, when you're saying augmenting the curves, that's painful.
Totally. Couldn't breathe. Women are fainting.
Yes.
Now, some women even started in the 20s, started wearing men's clothes, like suits. You get all of that. They
Slacks were a big thing.
Yes, pants, right on. So women, they also leaped at the freedom, all the new technologies that were on offer. They started watching also the new stars of the silent movies. So they were getting new images and role models. Mm-hmm. They listened to the radio. They drove cars, which only further liberated them. Mm-hmm. Women also got into vices. Mm-hmm. You know, I love that.
They were already in devices.
I know, but they started smoking cigarettes.
Sure.
You know, there's all the whole, like, you know, like, what is it, Pall Mall and, like, and not Virginia Slims. Is it Virginia Slims back then? I don't know.
I don't know.
But they had the cigarette brands for women. Mm-hmm. And then they started drinking alcohol and smoking reefer at jazz clubs and speakeasies.
Mm-hmm.
It's pandemonium, Elizabeth. Now, per our interests, there was also a new wave of women getting into crime.
Nice.
Right? These many changes for young women, they all get magnified as one thing, a moral panic.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like basically people were complaining, young women are unrecognizable today, right? Which not unfamiliar to us now.
Sure.
And the media of the day, they love to blame all the so-called nonsense on the flappers. That was the term, right? So these flappers were ruining the sweetness and innocence of girlhood. And young women were sometimes also occasionally treated, like especially the criminal ones, as like a gangster's mall. Like, oh, now you're helping these like serious hardcore criminals.
Yeah.
You're a willing partner in crime. You know, like think like Bonnie and Clyde, right? Now, that's a little early. But anyway, also then there was the political women because you had, you know, communists and anarchists. Some were called socialists or usually at worst was anarchist. These are all new ideas for America to be wrestling with. Mm-hmm. Now, I took a look back at the headlines of the day when I was doing research for this story, trying to get my mind right. And it's wild how nearly any young woman who was into crime or crime adjacent was called a flapper in press.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And so in order to kind of connect them to the horrors of modernity, it was an easy way to stoke that moral panic I was talking about, right? How women were changing and how they were becoming, God forbid, independent.
Right.
Now, enter into this milieu Rebecca Bradley Rogers, a.k.a. the Flapper Bandit.
The Flapper Bandit.
Yeah, she was dubbed that by newspaper men of the day, and she is who I want to tell you about today.
Nice.
Rebecca Bradley Rogers, born Rebecca Bradley back in 1905 in Texarkana, Texas, which, by the way, has a mirror city across the border in Arkansas called Texarkana, Arkansas.
Oh, really? There too?
Yeah, did not know that. Yeah, it's not like Calexico and Mexicali.
I love that,
right?
yeah.
Which is much more fun. Anyway, her friends and family, they all called her Becky, so we're going to call her Becky. At age 6 in 1911, Becky's parents picked up sticks and they moved west to Fort Worth, Texas. Mm-hmm. That's where she attends elementary school, high school. That's also where she meets her high school sweetheart, this ambitious, young, plucky lad named Otis Rogers. Remember that name. He'll come back into the
Otis
story.
Rogers. Got it.
After high school graduation, the young couple, they both moved to Austin, Texas to attend the University of Texas at Austin. Mm-hmm. While they're there in college, the pair, they pop on down to the courthouse in Georgetown, Texas, and they get secretly married.
Don't tell.
Yeah. The year is 1925, Elizabeth.
Okay.
And no one knows about their secret nuptials, not even the bride's mother. whom Rebecca was actually rather close with. Now, officially known as Rebecca Bradley Rogers, the young co-ed, she goes ahead, she pursues a bachelor's degree in history at the University of Texas at Austin. And I read that her annual tuition at UT was $300 a year. And she took out a loan to pay this.
That's a lot back then.
Yeah, I looked it up because I know you're always into this.
Yes.
So 1925, $300 tuition. This is annual tuition, right? So either both semesters or whatever, 4 quarters. 3 quarters?
It's complicated, but yeah.
Okay. Anyway, it would cost $5,500 today.
Wow.
Once again, annual tuition, full year of school.
So I guess it wasn't that much.
So now, if like me, you were wondering, how much that compared to the current tuition at UT?
Oh boy!
And this is
keep in mind, this is a public institution.
Yes. Now, this is for an in-state student, because that's what Becky was.
And we're talking tuition only, no?
Yeah, annual tuition cost $11,688. So basically, it's doubled.
Yeah,
value.
but that's not bad.
That's just the tuition.
Right.
If you add it all up, tuition, books, room and board as in on-campus housing, you include the average for like miscellaneous school life expenses. The total that they tell you to prepare for life at UT for 1 year is $32,446 for in-state tuition.
In-state.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Anyway, back to 1925.
But you know, it's a real return on investment there.
It wasn't easy to be a college student for a woman in the 1920s.
No.
Because there was a lot of limitations from professors, from just the culture at large. So for Becky Rogers, in order for her to pay for school and her life as a young married woman, she had to work a bunch of different part-time jobs, which I think is kind of super relatable for 2025.
Well, I mean, yeah, I worked part-time jobs in college.
Totally. But also just the idea that hustle culture is nothing new.
That's true.
Right? It just used to have a different name.
Yeah.
It wasn't such like, oh, we're going to dub this hustle culture. It's just like, get a job.
Called living.
Get a lot of jobs.
Well, we put a lot of dumb names. Adulting. No. Yeah. Hustle culture. No, it's called working. Adulting. It's called working.
So what sort of part-time jobs did Becky Rogers have to do to pay for her life and her schooling? Great question, Elizabeth.
That's so good.
I'm so glad you asked.
Me too.
Well, for one, she worked as a clerk at the state capitol in Austin.
Okay, that's
Big
a good
ups to her,
gig.
right? And on campus, she also had a job. She worked as an assistant to a university professor named Charles Ramsdell. He also was the head of the Texas State Historical Association. Smart connect for a girl studying history,
yeah,
right?
I like it.
Getting
I wonder
into the
what
community.
she wanted to do with that. Teach?
I don't
Probably
know.
at that time.
It doesn't show up in the newspapers. No one asked her, like, what do you want to use your major for, Beck?
I'm going to guess teaching.
I would assume, but maybe she wanted to go get into the historical association, like, and do state history. I don't know.
Reenactments.
Could do that too.
She's trying to break through that
No,
into that industry.
it was a new industry at the time. A lot of openings, a lot of possibilities. Now, her secret husband, Otis Rogers, he did manage to graduate from the University of Texas, and he made plans to attend law school with obviously the ambition to one day become a lawyer.
Sure.
More on that later. But what this means for the young couple is that Becky Rogers has to keep hustling while her husband is in law school and studying for the bar. So she's working for both of their feeds, right?
That's why he got married. I mean, let's be real.
Let's be real.
Let's be real
So
about it.
she had to lock it down. She's like, put a ring on it. Maybe I'll keep
No,
working.
he was like, I'm going to get a wife. She can work while I go to school.
Yeah, work all kinds of
Otherwise,
jobs.
what's he going to do?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know?
Go live at home.
I'm on to him.
So he did work in the oil fields in the summer, I can tell you that. So he was a little bit industrious. Anyway, Becky graduates with a bachelor's degree of her own, starts working towards getting a master's degree in history. She's like, I'm going to double up.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of scrimping and saving in this family, hustling, saying yes to any and all opportunities. All in all, things, though, are going well for the young couple. That is, until one day.
Dun, dun, dun.
Her mother loses her job in Fort Worth.
Oh.
That's when her now widowed mother moves to Austin, and she plans to come live with her daughter, who, may I remind you, she does not know is married.
Ugh.
Yeah, so I don't know if her mother was like old-fashioned or if she just never liked her daughter's high school sweetheart. I don't know what the deal was.
Well, her mom probably was like, why don't you get your education? And then, although I don't know, they
People
like
got
to marry him off
young.
early then.
Yeah.
I don't know, but my condolences to her on the loss of her husband. Can you let her know?
I will pass it on. So Bex keeps her marriage secret from her mother, and her mother did move in with her. Now, I couldn't find in the news stories where her husband with. If he was in the house or if he was staying with his law school buddies.
So they lived together.
They did until the mother showed up. I don't know if he stuck around then. It's like, who's your male roommate? Why do you guys kiss in the mornings?
At some point, you got to tell her.
Yeah. So with even more of a financial burden on her, in order to pay for herself, her mother, her graduate studies, her law school husband, Becky Rogers takes on a new challenge, one that will in her hopes, earn her even more extra cash. So her professor, the one that she worked for, old Professor Ramsdell, he decides to spend the summer away on sabbatical in 1926.
Okay.
While he's gone, he leaves Becky in charge of the Texas Historical Association.
Wow.
Yeah, he asked her, see if you can grow the membership. You're really, charming. People like you. See if you can get more members. So since he knows she needs to make money, Professor Ramsdell also cuts a deal. He's like, we're going to do like some real recruiting numbers here. He tells Becky, if she can increase the membership in the Texas State Historical Association, she can keep $1.40 from the $3 of new membership dues. Almost half.
That's not bad.
Right? Not bad at all.
Why didn't he just go all the way to half?
I don't know. He's like, I'm going to do 10 cents under.
This
otherwise.
is kind of feeling like an MLM.
Totally. So Becky jumps at this offer since she sees this as an opportunity to make more money, which she needs. And so she goes all in. While the professor is away on his summertime sabbatical, Becky hires part-time stenographers to type up letters of solicitation meant to draw in new members. She goes down to the library because, in order to find folks to invite to the Texas State Historical Association, she uses the who's who of Texas to find luminaries and rich folks to increase membership.
That's smart.
Super smart, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember before, by the way, just side note, before the internet, flipping through the who's who book each year?
It's such a scam, the who's who book.
Oh, completely.
Don't people pay
it's
to
like
get
the
in
Fortune 30 under 30 kind of
Yeah,
thing.
they send the thing like, hey, you qualify.
Yeah, by the way, how old are we that I can say to both of us, you remember before the internet?
Oh, God,
I
know.
In order to pay the part-time stenographers that she hires, Becky uses her own money. She does the same thing in order to buy office supplies and for the stenographers, all the paper, the envelopes, the postage. Basically, she's like a school teacher today. She doesn't get anything done in her job. She's using her own money.
So she's spending all the money ahead of time.
Totally.
Basically,
The good news for her is her gambit and her ambition work out. Kinda. She's able to drum up new members, a bunch of new members. However, she's kind of like me with money. She doesn't keep the best books. All right. So she's depositing money from the new memberships. She's keeping the $1.40 out of the $3 full of membership dues. But once again, not great at bookkeeping. So she's like trying to keep up with and do the best with the records. But sometimes she's putting her own money into the State Historical Association account for the new members and waiting for their dues to show up. Other times she's taking money out and she's using it to drum up business. And she loses track, Elizabeth. The funds get all mixed up. Basically, what I'm saying is the Texas State Historical Association's ledger becomes a mess with a capital M. When the professor returns from his summer sabbatical, he discovers what she's done, and he's like, this is not good. This is really bad. This is legally bad.
Right.
So in a letter to a friend, he writes about Becky's creative accounting. He says,
so he's gossiping about her.
Oh yeah, and he's explaining why he had to basically let her go, and she wrote a letter explaining I didn't mean to do it, but this is what I was doing. It was all well intended, and so he tells his friend, the girl was undoubtedly suffering from some sort of psychosis last year. Many of the records were entirely gone, and others had not been kept at all, right?
Oh.
Like me. I'm telling you, just I meant to write that down. It's in my head. So when the correct accounting is all done, the Texas State Historical Association determines that Rebecca owes the group $1,200.
Wait, what?
That would be $22,000 in 2025.
What's because she's hiring all these people when she could have done it her dang self.
Yeah, I know, right? She should have gotten some high school students with some typewriters.
Yes,
we got an extra class.
She could get herself to a typewriter.
Yeah, you're an intern.
That's what you're working to make that money. Anyway.
Now remember, her annual tuition is $300 per year. So Becky now owes the Texas State Historical Association the equivalent of 4 years of her annual college tuition.
Oh my God, Becky.
Long story short, this struggling young woman is screwed. So after her summer debacle, Becky leaves the Texas State Historical Association to pay off her new debts, as well as her rent, her life expenses for her mother, her husband, and also her graduate program. She gets a new job in the autumn. Becky gets a job as a stenographer. She was good at typing.
Did she hire herself?
She works at the office of Dan Moody, who at the time was the Texas Attorney General. He's this rising political star who within just a couple of years becomes the governor of the state.
Who's looking to have employees guilty of financial malfeasance.
Yeah, exactly. I guess he didn't know about that part. Anyway, with her flashy new job, Becky still isn't making the kind of money that she can pay off her debt to the Texas State Historical Association and pay off her student loan debts and take care of her husband or mother herself. So She needs to get profitable. She's drowning in debt. Welcome to being a modern, independent woman, sister. So to get a handle on her finances, Becky decides to mortgage her mother's house in Fort Worth, right? She's going to use the money from the mortgage home to pay off some of her debts, but it's not enough to pay off all of them. Plus, she needs money to live. Also, she decides to take her mother on a trip, I think maybe to cheer her up after being widowed.
Well, sometimes you don't get to do those things.
No, but also
crunch.
Her mother was equally bad with money. Like she was
that's
known
where she gets
to
it.
blow Becky's paychecks, right? Yeah. So when Becky returns home from her trip with her mother, she finds that she still has all these angry creditors waiting on their money. At this point, Becky's like, I'm desperate. I need more money. Meanwhile, at the same time, Midwest newspapers start having these stories that cover this new crime wave. It's a big trend. It's the heyday of bank robberies. All of a sudden, they're becoming this thing where bad men would race into town, they'd rob a bank, and then flee over state lines, can't be pursued.
Yeah.
So it's a brilliant crime. This is basically what J. Edgar Hoover uses to grow the power of the FBI in the 1930s, but we're still in the 1920s.
Yeah.
So reading the news, Becky gets a big idea. She's like, what if I rob a bank? I mean, that would solve all my problems. That's where the money is. So Becky looks around. She finds the perfect bank to rob. Booyah shaka.
Nice.
Okay, Elizabeth, let's take a little break now. Use this time to think about how things change, but they all kind of stay the same.
Very true.
How relatable is Becky's story?
Ah, Becky.
When we get back after these ads, we'll get to the criming. Now, Elizabeth,
Zaron.
we're back. Are you ready to hear about how Becky Rogers becomes the Flapper Bandit?
I am ready.
So there's this town just north of Austin called Round Rock, Texas.
Okay.
And in this sleepy little town, there's a bank called Farmers State Bank. And that becomes Becky's perfect target for a one-woman bank job. Doesn't bring in any of those stenographers in for this. She's like, I'm taking that bank down by myself. So one day, when she has some time to herself, she drives her Model T coupe north from Austin to case the joint.
Yeah.
The date is Wednesday, December 8th, 1926.
Okay.
When she hits town, Becky tells the locals that her name is Grace Lofton. It just makes up a cover, right?
Like it.
She arrives in town, and to this Texas small town locals, she's this very fashionable, modern young woman of the roaring 20s.
Yeah.
So basically, she's a threat to all they hold dear.
Right.
Now, anyway, Becky tells anyone who will ask that I'm a writer, I'm a journalist, I'm working for this newspaper down in Waco. They're like, oh, okay, big city girl with modern problems, right? So this Texas small town, the locals, to kind of put them at ease, she asked them about farm business, like something relatable that they know. She asked, how's the latest cotton harvest? Because that was like the big cash crop in that area at the time. So for a few days, she's following the same routine. Becky goes down, arrives at the bank. She mills around the lobby. She asks the local farmers questions about how's the cotton harvest, right? Because it's December. So she's like asking them how they've just done, what they're looking forward to planting next year.
Yeah.
If they're reluctant or suspicious of this modern young flapper girl, she tells them, oh, no, it's for an agriculture report in the newspaper down in Waco. And people are like, oh, okay, I'm glad they're covering the issues we're facing.
Sure.
Nobody ever comes down here to Round Rock and ask us how we're doing. Now, she wants readers to know how hard life is for this farming community. And as you know, the Dust Bowl is coming well into view at this point in this area. And this is just before the Wall Street crash in 29, but farmers in places like Texas are already feeling the economy tanking.
Yeah.
So Becky says she wants people to know about their struggles. And they're like, thank you, sister. No, but anyway, you get the idea. So like I said, this is, of course, all just her cover. Meanwhile, she's actually surveilling the bank. She's busy getting like a read on, when's the best time to rob the bank vault?
Yeah.
After 2 days of her news gathering, Becky decides there's no perfect time to bust this bank. People are coming in at odd hours. There's nothing regular. I can't figure out a nice window. So she decides, okay, what's the next best way to do this? She's like, I got it. I need to stage a diversion.
Oh, okay.
So while everyone's looking the other way, boom, she'll pop in, rob the bank, hop out, get into her Model T, zip away, bing, bang, boom. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Becky looks around. What's a good diversion? She decides, what are people afraid of? Oh, yeah, of course, fire.
Wait, so she's still in Texas here. So it's Round Rock.
Round Rock, Texas.
So she didn't go across state lines to do this.
She's not good at bank robbing. She only goes like 20, 30 miles away, right? So she finds this vacant.
I feel like at night she went back to her room and actually wrote the article for the paper.
Totally, just to like really have a strong cover, so she can show people like, here's the copy I'm working on.
Right.
How did you spell that last name? Leftowitz? So she finds this vacant residence near the bank, right? And so on Friday, December 10th, 1926, Becky decides it's time to change her financial luck.
Let's stack some felonies.
Exactly. So she goes down. She goes to a local store and she buys just two things: matches and coal oil.
Oh, not suspicious,
right?
No.
And then just before the bank closes, Becky sneaks into a vacant house and then she sets the vacant structure on fire. Now, however, unbeknownst to Becky, the next door neighbor, a busybody woman, sees this young woman duck into the empty home. 10 minutes later, she sees that same modern young woman leave in a rush. The flapper hops in her Model T coupe and speeds away. And then all of a sudden, if that's not suspicious enough, moments later, the empty house erupts in bright red flames. There's puffs of smoke coming out of the windows.
Our little firebug.
Right? So meanwhile, a few blocks away, Becky's now enacting part 2 of her grand plan. She parks her Model T coupe and leaves it running, rushes into the bank, exclaims, "Fire! Fire!" Becky shouts for all to hear, right? But her worried screams, bank employees are nonplussed. They're like, yeah,
okay.
Stuff burns.
Yeah, right?
Is it my house? I don't care. So no one from the bank leaves. Her diversion
You're kidding.
doesn't work
She's
at
burned
all.
it for no reason.
As Becky would later recall, quote, "I told them I was sure I saw a house afire up the street, but they didn't seem to be paying any attention to it."
They're like, you have no idea how often that happens.
Yeah, this is Texas, baby. Stuff burns.
We got people setting fires all
The
over.
wind starts fires.
That's true.
So just like her big grand plan of a diversion failing, now she's like, what's a girl to do? So Becky just stands there in the lobby. She doesn't know what to do, so she waits for closing time at the bank. Maybe she can just like slide in right at the last minute. That doesn't work. The vault gets shut, locked for the night. And, they have a time lock. So she's like, this isn't opening till tomorrow. So she's like, I missed my chance. So there's no way to force her way into the vault, rob the place. So, this is her first time. She's a newcomer at this, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, I should go home and think harder about how I'm going to do this. So frustrated Becky drives back home to Austin. She's got to make dinner for her mother and her husband now.
Right.
So the next day she hops back in her Model T coupe, sneaks away from Austin, drives back up to Round Rock. The town where she started a fire. Now, once she's there, she goes back to milling about, asking people questions,
Becky.
right? Looking for some kind of opportunity to rob the bank. However, now she's a full-on person of interest.
Well, yeah.
In this small town.
Yeah.
She's the only stranger, and she comes out of the flaming building. So now locals are asking her questions like, weren't you in that house down on Rainy Street or whatever?
They're like, hold the questions about the cotton. I got questions for you.
Yeah, I got questions of my own. Now, before the law can get involved, Becky hops back into her Model T coupe and splits town. So it's the only good decision she's made so far.
All I keep saying, Becky. Like, it's one thing after another.
Becky drives back to Austin, but she doesn't stop. I don't think she wanted to go home and make dinner for her mother and husband again, so she just keeps going. She drives right past Austin. She continues south for 15 miles. She gets to this little town called Buda, Texas. Buda, Texas.
Okay.
She takes the newly constructed San Antonio Highway. So Buda, Texas, another sleepy little Texas town, and like Round Rock, it also has a Farmer State Bank. She's like, I recognize that bank.
She's loyal.
Yeah, totally. So the bank is like, it's part of a string of commercial buildings. It's located near railroad tracks. Just like, she's like, I think there's not going to be as many eyewitnesses if I start another fire. So the bank catches the eye of Becky, right? So she's like, this looks like an easier score. Becky leans on her university education. She uses the same gambit. Becky claims to be a young reporter working on an ag report for a local paper. This time she mixes it up. She's like, people knew about that Waco paper. So she goes, yeah, the Beaumont Enterprise, like East Texas now,
yeah.
which is a better choice. So now I haven't really described what Becky looks like.
Yeah.
So she stood 5'2", so she's petite.
It's just a little old thing.
She weighs about 90 pounds. She's often described as being this attractive young woman with brown hair. But unlike those like fast big city girls, those actual true flappers, she wears homemade dresses that she sews herself.
Yeah.
Like she's true Texas. So Becky has, though, the same confidence of these modern young women, even in her homemade dress.
Right.
So she may not look like a flapper, but she damn sure acts like one.
Right.
So relying on her cover story, Becky, once again, she's interviewing the local merchants, the farmers, bank employees. She asks everyone about the local cotton crop. After she collects her sound bites and quotes for her story, Becky asks the bank employees for a little favor. She's like, can I use one of your typewriters just to like type up my notes and work on my story for the paper? And it's two male bank employees. They're charmed by the attractive young woman, and they invite her to join them behind the teller's cage. They're like, yeah, you can use this typewriter right over here. So basically, Becky's now sweet-talked her way behind the bank teller's security cage.
Yeah.
So she gets situated, starts typing up her notes. Meanwhile, it's slow. No customers are in the bank. One of the bank tellers needs to, clean up all the deposit slips. So he goes to make a deposit in the safe in the bank's vault. And when he opens the vault door, sweet little attractive 21-year-old Becky Rogers realizes, this is my moment. So she pulls out a .32 caliber automatic pistol.
Whoa,
and aims it at the two bank employees.
Oh my God.
The two male bank tellers, Frank Jameson and J.R. Howe, they're both stunned to see the business end of a gun pointed at them.
Sure.
Especially in the hands of this cute female reporter who's just a little slip of a thing.
Yeah.
So Becky orders the bank tellers to open the safe inside the bank vault, and she says to them, dig that money out. Real flapper talk. Right. Now, since she has the gun as encouragement, the bank tellers do as they're told.
Sure.
Once inside the bank vault, Becky just sees 2 stacks of cash, and she shoves this money in her purse. It's about somewhere, I saw different amounts. Some people said $2,000, some people said $1,000, some people said $1,200. So it's enough that she will take care of the money she owes.
Right.
So it's a little bit more than $1,000, all in brand new $5 bills.
Oh, okay.
So at this point, Becky worries about the bank teller. So she asks the bank tellers, if I leave you in this vault, is there enough air for you to survive for a half hour?
Aww.
They're like, yeah, sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. She's like, oh, so it won't just be 10 minutes. You'll
No,
pass out.
No, will instantly suffocate.
So they allow her. She closes the door, locks them in the vault. Then she cool and calm as Steve McQueen. She crosses over through the bank, steps outside, walks over to her Model T coupe, fires that bad boy to life, and then she shimmies and shakes her way right out of town in her Model T. This is now her second attempted bank robbery. This time, total success. Becky is elated.
Nice.
And she knows, she's like, okay, I need not to speed. I don't want to get caught doing something dumb. So she gets back on the new San Antonio highway and heads north back home to Austin. She's like, now I can make dinner for my mom and husband. Meanwhile, back at the bank, a mere 10 minutes after they're locked inside, the two bank employees, they managed to use a screwdriver to free themselves from inside the bank vault. I was reading this. I'm like, what kind of janky bank vault do they have? You can open it so easily. But then I realized people aren't ever trying to break out from inside of a vault. You don't need the best security.
No.
And I was like, you know what? It's probably actually even a way for if an employee gets trapped, it's an actual escape release.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. They get free. The two bank employees, they hop on the phone. They proceed to alert law enforcement in all 4 cardinal directions.
Good.
That the bank's just been robbed, and be on the lookout for a young woman moving through the world by herself, driving a Model T coupe. Mm-hmm. There's also one other important detail. Some of the suspicious locals, because
of course
Becky draws an ire.
Dude, you go into any small town.
Oh, yeah, and
you're not from there, they're going to clock you immediately.
Oh, yeah, so they were definitely mad dogging her, right? And they not only did that, they memorized her license plate.
Yes.
So they're like, oh, yeah, her license plate is 810-863.
Oh, my God.
And so, the two bank employees, they give this detail to the police. The police put out an APB for this woman driving a Model T coupe with license plate 810-863. The Flapper girl just robbed the local Farmers State Bank, right? So now, will Becky escape the Texas sheriffs, the Texas Rangers? They're all going to be hot on her pursuit. Well, rather than me answer that question, Elizabeth, I'd like you to close your eyes.
My eyes are closed.
And I'd like you to picture it. It's a crisp, quiet day in Texas in December of 1926. At the moment, the thrill of speed whips through the open window of your Model T coupe as you shimmy and shake down a 2-lane Texas highway. And you, Elizabeth, are the notorious young modern woman turned bank robber, Becky Rogers. You're enjoying a satisfied smile to yourself, thinking back to the look on the faces of those two duped bank employees when you aimed your .32 caliber automatic pistol at them and demanded cash from the vault. You weren't sure you'd get away with it, but you did. It all went perfectly well, and now all you need to do is just get back home to Austin. However, you take your eyes off the road for just a moment as you reach into your purse to look again at that stolen loot, the answer to your felonious prayers. The money looks like a happy future for you and your husband, even your mother, and that's when you hear it. The sucking sound of a car tire going off the road and into the mud that runs alongside the road. The car tire pulls your Model T coupe off the road, and boom, just like that, you're stuck in the mud, left behind after a wintertime storm. You're done for. You're sure of it. How can your luck turn so fast? You don't know what to do. How could this happen? There's no way you can get out by yourself. It was all going so well. You're on the brink of hot tears wetting your cheeks, and then you see it. A horse-drawn wagon. Looks like, yes, it is, a dairyman bringing milk to market. You thank your lucky stars as the horse-drawn wagon pulls closer and closer. You wave down the dairyman. He waves back. The horse-drawn wagon pulls closer and then finally pulls to a stop. The dairyman asks, "Well, howdy. Everything okay there, young lady?" You explain that you were driving along alone and you were silly. You took your eyes off the road just for a second. You leave out the part about clocking stolen loot. The dairyman, he offers to help pull you out of the mud, and you are quick to accept his kind offer. As the local milkman hops down and ties his wagon to the front end of your Model T coupe, you say a little prayer that no cops drive by. Once the dairyman is set, he tells you he's going to give the horses a signal to pull, so try not to fall out. You grip the steering wheel and you aim the car tires back at the road. The dairyman yells, "Yeah, yeah!" to his team of draft horses. The tremendously thick horses heave too, and you feel their strength as your Model T coupe yanks forward. The dairyman shouts again, "Yeah, yeah, yeah!" And with a second good tug, your Model T coupe gets pulled back onto the dry road. You thank the dairyman with a big smile. He tells you it was his honor and pleasure to help a fair maiden in distress. He unhooks his team of horses from the front end of your Model T, and he tells you, "Keep your eyes on the road, little lady, and you should be fine." You thank him again. You start up your car engine. He waves you goodbye as you hit the gas, and your Model T coupe shimmies and shakes its way on down the road. So back on the road, Elizabeth. Becky stops again at a cute little confectionery shop. She buys herself a box of candy.
Wait.
Job well done, Bex.
She's on the run from the police and she's like, I need
some chocolates.
I need a chocolate covered caramel. Hold on a second.
I got to be honest though, she doesn't plan to eat the sweets. In fact, I don't even know if she throws them out, but she empties the box of candy and she secrets her .32 caliber automatic pistol in there, and then she puts in the $1,000 or so of the stolen bank job loot and puts that in the candy box.
How big a box of candy did she buy?
Talking a big heart.
Like a big one.
Yeah. So then she takes the candy box to a department store to be wrapped up as a gift. Smart girl.
Smart. Now she's suddenly smart.
So, yeah, now she's thinking. Once it's gift wrapped, Becky takes the box of candy and heads to the Austin post office. That's where she plans to send the fake box of candy to herself at the university.
Okay.
As Becky recalls it later, "I told the man at the window it was an iron. Some women would call a gun an iron, so you see, I didn't yarn about it. I addressed the package to the university station because I didn't want it to get back too soon."
Amazing.
So after she's now secured her gun and her stolen loot in the mail, Becky drives over to her local garage. She asks the guy there to, give her car a wash and she'll come and get it later. The reason is simple. There's all this drying mud from when she got stuck in the mud on the side of the farm road. This, Elizabeth, is her big mistake.
Uh-oh.
Well, other than robbing the bank.
Right.
But so because there's this eagle-eyed patrolman walking around, he spots the license plate of the Model T coupe, license plate 810-863. It matches the APB for the bank robber down in Buda. The Austin patrolman walks over to a little phone, calls in. 2 other police officers come out and join him. Together, they create an improvised sting operation.
Oh, no.
All 3 hide there, and they wait for the person to come back and claim this car. Now, if Becky had checked the local newspaper, the Austin Statesman, she would have seen that her bank job, the one she pulled in Buda, was already in the news.
Yeah.
They had it by the afternoon, the evening extra,
Wow.
right? The Austin Statesman runs the story with the headline, "Flapper, 17, takes $2,000 in currency at gunpoint." Eyewitnesses had estimated her to be younger than she was, obviously.
Sure, well, she's tiny.
She is. She's this little thing. So they see this cute petite bank robber and they go, "Oh, that's a high school girl."
Right.
So Austin Statesman also minced the phrase that becomes Becky Rogers' new nickname, her nom de crime. The paper dubs her the Flapper Bandit. Now, instead of reading up on her bank job, Becky instead walks over to her apartment, the one she shares with her mother. She freshens up, and when it's time, she walks back to get her car from the garage. And when she returns to the garage around 5:30 in the afternoon to pick up her freshly washed and waxed little Model T coupe, that's when she sees 3 cops waiting for her. They spring their trap. They arrest Becky. Down goes the Flapper Bandit. After one successful boom, things are about to get way worse before they get any better for old Bex.
Becky.
One bank job. That's all it took.
Flapper
Bandit.
That's
Gets
how
a
she
nickname,
gets the name.
Everything.
I'm impressed with how quickly that story made the wire.
Right? I was too. Now, Elizabeth, let's take a little break again.
Okay.
And after these messages, we'll see how this all plays out for the Flapper Bandit.
Mm-hmm.
And we're back, Elizabeth.
Yes, we are.
So you digging the Flapper Bandit?
I love this.
Right? It's like such a mix of like, yeah, go Becky. Oh,
Becky.
It's a roller coaster. Okay, so you ready to hear how the Flapper Bandit makes out when she gets dropped into Texas justice?
I am ready.
And also, by the way, she's now about to become a national news headline. So once she's busted by the Austin PD, the local Texas papers try to get their journalistic arms around her story. And like, what is going on with modern young women? Only it's not so nicely put.
Sure.
Now they're robbing banks? So anyway, the newspaper men, they hit up her college and they interview anyone who claims to know Becky Rogers. The Fort Worth Star-Telegram, they published this story that reports that her former friends and classmates are all stupefied by the news that little Becky Rogers is in the notorious Flapper Bandit, not little Becky Rogers, the history major. So they insist that the Becky they know would never do anything like that. So there was also a little side to Becky Rogers that her friends and former classmates never really got to know.
Yeah.
Not just like the robbing the banks part, but she also had a really dark sense of humor because the local Texas law enforcement, they did get to know this unknown side of Becky.
Oh, really?
Yeah. See, on the way down to San Marcos, so down there in Hays County, this like the sheriff's taking her to arraign her. The sheriff's this man named George Allen. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, he's driving along with little Becky Rogers, and along the way, they pass through Buddha. And the sheriff would later tell newspaper reporters that when she saw Buddha again, Becky, quote, burst out laughing and said, I have a whole lot to live down, but not as much as those men back there who let a little girl hold them up with an empty gun.
Oh.
She had no bullets in her gun, and she's bragging about it to a cop.
But like, come on, don't talk.
Know your audience, Bex.
Becky.
So the next day, following her arrest and arraignment, her employer comes in, bails her out. So we're talking the...
Yeah, which employer?
This is the thing. I think it's the professor, not the attorney general. So...
So her former employer.
Former employer, yeah.
Wow.
So there are more charges coming because a few days later, she's arrested again. Why? Great question, Elizabeth.
That's a great question.
The folks from Round Rock recognize her as the Flapper arsonist who hit their town.
See, racking felonies.
So now...
I love that she's got an attitude about it, too. Like,
right?
Girl, you're the one in the police car.
Yeah, in the back.
In the back.
In cuffs. You got on them metal bracelets. So the county arraigns Becky on charges of arson. In September of 1927, her first trial begins down in Georgetown, which is the county seat for Williamson County, located there in central Texas. At this point, her story has gone national. The headlines, they're coming fast, furious. Everybody's loving this story. This like plucky little Becky Rogers, aka the Flapper Bandit. That's what everybody from coast to coast is reading about, the trial of the Flapper Bandit.
Sure.
In the courtroom, the jurors have to listen to eyewitness accounts. They're trying, they're told not to follow the news stories. I don't know how well they do. Anyway, they're considering the evidence. And then after they do all of this, and they're listening to eyewitness accounts, listening to the police, considering all the evidence, they retire to the jury room to deliberate. But the jurors cannot come to a unanimous decision. The trial ends with neither a conviction or an acquittal. As a result, a second trial is scheduled. They're like, we're going to have to do this all over again.
So it's like hung jury.
Hung jury,
okay.
exactly. So meanwhile, Becky is put on trial for the gun charges from the bank robbery in Buddha. So the first trial is the arson. Second trial ends up being the gun charges. Keep in mind, armed robbery in Texas at this time was a capital offense.
Oh,
As in, she's facing the death penalty.
Oh, dear.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, real bad.
Becky.
Like, I don't even think she did any reading. Like, for somebody who studies history, she was not too up on the present.
Well, she was like how they used to do it.
Yeah, well, she should know. Like, down in Texas,
I
they
do
don't
wonder
play.
what her area of emphasis was in her studies.
I do,
in her
too.
Research, yeah.
So the national newspapers at this point are having a field day with this story about this girl down in Texas is about to get sent to the electric chair for, like, robbing one bank.
God.
So as the Oregon Daily Journal reports with their choice headline, Flapper Bandit in shadow of the electric chair.
Oh, no.
Just flexing on her, right? After sitting in the gallery for the first trial, her secret husband, Otis Rogers, who's now been unmasked as her legal husband, decides to put his education to the test. He joins his wife's defense team, and he fights to free his young bride.
I can't tell if this is a good idea or not.
I will not tell you.
Oh,
Since it's a capital offense, the court takes this quite seriously, as does her husband. He's like, I don't want to lose her to the chair. And since it's difficult to secure an unbiased jury, her second trial gets relocated to a new county, Fayette County, in this town called LaGrange. Doesn't really matter. Anyway.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So
I know the ZZ Top song.
Oh, there you go. Look at you, cultured.
Pretty much.
December 17th, 1927, the jurors are listening to eyewitness testimony. They weigh the evidence. They listen to her husband's closing arguments.
Which are, Anyway, go ahead.
It's great. Going for maximum drama, he tells the jury, if they convict his wife, hang her high.
Wait, what?
Yes. He says in court,
ixnay.
and I quote, hang her high, and then I, as the sun of my life sinks to setting, will come to cut her down and bury her with the last of my dreams, a victim of man's inhumanity to man.
No, way to make it about you, dude.
Right? They're like, hey, maybe talk about the perp. Anyway, so he was a member of the debate team in college, so he's like trying to bring to bear all the eloquence and drama he can muster.
Not a lot of wins under his belt.
Apparently he was really good. He had trophies and stuff. So after his closing argument, the jurors retired to deliberate. This time the jurors are able to come back with a clear decision. Want to guess what it was?
Curtains for Becky.
Guilty as sin. So way to go there,
Good job,
bucko.
Otis. Thanks, Otis.
But I don't want you to worry, Elizabeth. They do not hang her high.
Okay.
So there's no state murder in this one.
Even though her own husband / defense attorney was like, you know what, guys?
Kill my client.
If you think she's guilty, just kill her right here in front of me.
Yeah, give her the Clint
I'll hold the
Eastwood.
body.
I'll pull down on her boots.
And then we can all talk about me and how tragic this is for me.
What a sad boy I am. So instead of dropping her into the hot seat of the electric chair, the judge sentences Becky to 14 years in the state pen. Her husband, Otis Rogers, immediately appeals the decision. He's like, no.
I told you, kill her.
The appellate trial is heard by the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals in Austin, like the state capital. So far more than a member of the defense team, her husband now becomes her lawyer.
Oh.
Gets rid of the other ones. Like, I can do it on my own. You guys held me back.
This is like entertainers who have a spouse as a manager. Like,
Totally.
No, it's not a good idea.
He alone argues before the state appeals court. He attacks the legal grounds on which his wife's convictions rest and the legal argument that was leveraged by the DA. Her husband's defense, this time, is stellar. He claims his wife is insane.
Well,
he leans into the suspicions that all these modern young women, these crazed flapper girls, and Elizabeth, it works beautifully. The appeals court overturns the previous ruling.
Oh.
But the couple, they still aren't done with their legal fight. Because remember, she's got arson charges too.
Right.
So Becky is retried on the previous charges of armed robbery that she has, right? So in May of 29, Becky stands trial in LaGrange, Texas for the armed robbery that went down in Buda.
Uh-huh.
Now, before her new trial gets going, the judge opts to stop the trial. Why?
Because she's crazy.
Great question, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I know.
The judge says that it would now be impossible for her to get an unbiased jury in Fayette County because she's already been tried there. Everyone knows about her.
Right.
And he's like, I know you guys have all been reading the newspapers.
Yeah.
So he moves the trial to New Braunfels in Comal County in September 1929. Age 24, Becky sits for her third trial for armed robbery.
24 years old.
Yeah. This time, her 27-year-old husband, Otis Rogers, becomes her lead defense lawyer again.
Oh, great.
For his team, he brings along two of his law school classmates.
Just a couple buddies.
Yeah, the press has a field day with this. The counselors are dubbed the, quote, youngest ever defense team to, quote, try a capital case in Texas. They're like, these crazy kids.
Right.
Now, the main legal argument for the youngest ever defense team to try a capital case in Texas is the same as before. They argue that their client is insane.
Yeah.
At least at the time of the robbery. Still, national news sensation years into this at this point.
Yeah, sure.
The Flapper Bandit is selling papers from sea to shining sea across the United States, right? When the trial reaches its conclusion in late September 29, the case of the Flapper Bandit confounds a jury of her peers. As the Carbondale Free Press in Carbondale, Illinois reports on its front page, failed to convict Flapper bank robber, insane. The Asheville Citizen-Times in Asheville, North Carolina keeps it more succinct with their front page headline. It reads, Flapper Bandit, victor in fourth court trial.
I love it. Just front page in these places.
So although the prosecutor had argued that, quote, insanity is a disease that criminals get when they are caught, the jurors see it differently.
Yeah.
Her husband's legal wranglings and the insanity defense that he tries, it works. It frees his wife.
Yeah.
Otis Rogers very keenly uses expert opinions of 3 psychologists to leverage all the biases and stereotypes of the day. He basically uses sexism to paint his wife as a crazy young modern woman.
Right.
And the defense works brilliantly.
Right.
Even the judge falls victim to it. He says that Becky Rogers is, quote, too attractive to be a bank robber. As he put it, quote, she was so pretty that there was no way she could be a criminal.
Well, right there. I mean, that's how you tell. She got the good hair.
Yeah, you're like, you look at the criminal, you're like, is she hot? Definitely not a criminal.
Can't be a criminal.
Yeah, must have quit. So in the end, the youngest
if she's fit, must have quit.
To go to one.
Thank you.
So they convinced 9 of the 12 jurors that Becky Rogers is indeed legally insane, at least temporarily, because they don't put her in the state hospital. They're just like, it was a moment. She just got a little crazy.
Yeah.
You know how them flappers to girls are.
We brought her back to the Lord.
I mean, remember, look at it. She wears homemade dresses. She can't be all crazy.
Exactly.
So they vote to acquit on criminal charges. The remaining 3 jurors, they wanted a guilty verdict. They're like, no, she's a high guilty.
Sure.
Like, nope. So the trial concludes. Hung jury again. Flapper Bandit gets off. All in all, Becky Bradley Rogers, she's now faced 4 trials for bank robbery and for arson, and collectively beats them all. The local journalists and court watchers put forward their theories of what went wrong. Like, how come we couldn't bust the Flapper Bandit?
Yeah.
They opine about how modern times are radically changing what is considered reasonable and what is considered insane. Right? And it's making it difficult to secure a guilty verdict against the Flapper Bandit.
It is. It's so difficult.
So this editor of the local New Braunfels Herald newspaper, he writes that, quote, there seems to be a very widespread sentiment that failure in 4 attempts to convict probably means the conviction can never be secured. This newspaper editor also suggests that, quote, it would seem that justice tempered with mercy might well apply here. So they're basically like, once again, if she's fit, we got to acquit. So basically, he determines that the jurors are going to keep taking pity on the Flapper Bandit for being a misguided modern young woman, or they'll be persuaded by the innocence of her beauty, and either way, they're like, no electric chair for her.
Yeah, no.
Save Bex.
Exactly.
So eventually, these 2 Texas counties, they concede defeat. In September 29, Williamson County ends their prosecution. They're like, we're not going to another trial. The next month, the stock market falls, and the Great Depression begins.
Right.
So the era of the Flapper girl comes to a swift and sudden end.
Sure.
News stories, they move on. Texas justice, however, does not. Because it takes the folks down in Hays County longer to get over the whole armed bank robbery. 4 years later, in 1933, they're like, okay, fine. We will not come up with another case.
Oh, God.
So they let her go on the armed robbery charges. So now Rebecca Bradley Rogers, a.k.a. the Flapper Bandit, walks free on all charges. The very next day, she joins the ranks of motherhood. Becky gives birth to her first child with her courtroom badass of a husband, Otis Rogers.
Yeah.
They greet a baby girl into the world, which becomes the first of their 3 children. As their family grows larger and larger, the Flapper Bandit puts her rough and rowdy ways behind her. She settles down, gets to work for her husband in his office as his legal secretary.
Okay.
Meanwhile, his reputation in Texas legal circles begins to grow and grow. Otis Rogers becomes known as the little giant who, quote, always got in the last word.
Oh.
Yeah, people liked him anyway.
Short king.
Total short king energy. The Flapper Bandit and her little short king of a lawyer husband, they remain happily married until the time of her death in 1950.
Wow.
At the very young age of 45.
Wow.
The very next year, her husband dies.
What happened?
Neither of them makes it to the age of 50.
What happened?
I wish I could give you the answers.
I wish you could too.
For a few years back in the roaring 20s, this pair were a viral national sensation, and together they kind of embody the dizzying spirit of this radical decade. As the Flapper Bandit, Becky Rogers, basically she challenges what America expected from its young women.
Yeah.
She stokes the flames of moral panic, and then she settles down and becomes a dutiful wife and mother and her husband's secretary, right?
I thought for sure that she'd get off and then like they would have her on like stage shows going around touring.
Yeah, no, she's like...
But I suppose when the economy tanks, those things aren't so hot.
Once the Depression hit, all these stories of the 20s are just dead on arrival, right? So they basically discovered there was really nothing ever to worry about with the Flapper Bandit. All the moral panics were for naught. They were just for selling newspapers. Other than, of course, Becky's difficulties with bookkeeping, which does bear merit in mention. But there you go. So what's our ridiculous takeaway here, Elizabeth?
Oh, my goodness. You know, we talk about planning, execution, what's going to, thinking it through. Becky obviously was a smart lady.
Yeah.
Not street smart, crime smart.
No.
Yeah. And I'm really fascinated as to why they both passed away so young, but...
Yeah, a little bit like, I didn't want to dwell on their deaths. So,
I do.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't provide you those answers. Maybe check out newspapers.com.
I think I'm going to.
Yeah, look her up.
Gotta dig around in Ancestry.com.
Yeah, so there you go.
What's your ridiculous takeaway?
Mine is like, I wish people would realize that moral panics are always about the moment and it's just a paper thin thing, and do not fall. Like, I know that like you have to respond when people are saying like, these people need to be thrown in the ocean or whatever they're saying in the moral panic.
Sure.
But just know that this too will pass.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
it's really not attached to anything. And as soon as the world changes, they're on to a new thing.
Exactly.
And then they're worried about like what's going on in Europe or whatever.
Right.
So, you ready to wash this all down with, say, a delicious talk back?
Better believe it.
Producer D, can you favor us with one?
Oh my God, did he just say that?
OMG.
Hi, my name is Kat. I currently live in New Hampshire, and I just wanted to thank Zaron for bringing up the movie Clifford. My sister Liz and I watched it repeatedly as children. We never broke our VCR, but I think we might have broken our parents' spirits a little bit with how frequently we watched it. Yes. Thank you for the unlock of that core childhood memory. Lots of love to all of you.
Oh,
I love it.
I'd love to be in service of an unlocked memory. That is great. Clifford is a great one.
Their spirit.
If you have a VCR on the VHS tape, pop that bad boy in
You know what? Just
and break some spirits.
Exactly.
Well, obviously, as you can tell, we love your talkback. So please go to the iHeart app, download it, leave us a talkback. Maybe you get to hear your voice here. We'd like to hear it. You can also find us online at Ridiculous Crime on Instagram, Blue Sky. We have our account, Ridiculous Crime Pod, P-O-D Pod on YouTube. If you prefer, you can listen along there. We also have our website, which Elizabeth was just nominated for the best portal for all your Minnesota fishing needs.
You're kidding.
Yeah, ridiculouscrime.com.
I mean, where else would you go?
I don't know. I don't know where they're
I
going.
mean, who are we up against? Nobody.
So please also email us. We love your emails. Email us if you want at ridiculouscrime@gmail.com. We've been getting some good ones lately, so thank you all. We love the rude dudes. We look forward to reading your missives. So that's all we got for you today. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next crime. Ridiculous Crime is hosted by Elizabeth Dutton and Zaron Burnett. Produced and edited by friend to all felonious flappers, Mr. Dave Koustin. And starring Annalise Rucker as Judith. Research is by our crack legal team, Marissa Brown and Jabari Davis. Our theme song is by the best little band in Texas to jazz up your speakeasy, the Syncopated Sinners, Thomas Lee and Travis Dutton. Host wardrobe provided by Botany 500. Guest hair and makeup by Sparkle Shot and Mr. Andre. Executive producers are the directors of the Texas State Ridiculous Historical Association, Ben Bolin and Noel Brown.
Ridiculous crime.
Say it one more time.
Ridiculous crime.
Ridiculous Crime is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.